Thought I'd better give you at least some sort of a little update. I haven't really done anything yet this week to show you. Last thing I think we put out was showing that the planer was alive. Been lots going on, and it seems like for about the last 3 weeks at least, why all I've been doing is moving equipment and gathering more toys or more projects for here in the shop. So the last thing's been the planer, and we've shown that being fired up. Hopefully you've already caught up on that, and otherwise I'll leave a card for that up here someplace. But we got the Randmeyer lathe tucked away and tarped up for now, and the planer's now out and all covered up and tarped and everything. We've had it running, so the next thing on it is going to be getting the phase converter all balanced and tuned, and new bearings put in it, and things like that, just to make sure it's where I wanted. Kind of gotten back onto the working on the shop a little bit here, so we'll hopefully be seeing some progress in that before too long that I can share with you. And that's probably, as far as the planer goes and the big lathe, that's all we're going to see until I get this shop situated to where I can be moving them inside. I've run the planer enough now that I'm really happy with the way it's performing with what we've got so far, just to make sure it's going to run, and now it's time to change the gear oils and redo all of that and start getting it cleaned up. But there's no sense in me getting too involved in that until we do get it moved into the shop and get it situated the way I want it. So it's kind of set back out of the way, and it's just been the last day or two that I feel like I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things of working here in the shop a little bit. So I thought I'd share what I've gotten done so far and kind of tell you the plans for the future a little bit still. So anyway, yesterday I finished up molding boxes. I had 3 of these molding boxes that I had already built and got finish on them, and I had the hardware on, but I hadn't put the pins in them and machined the hardware itself. So I got all 3 of them done, and they're ready to be used. You know, I'm real happy with them. They're a pretty good fit. As everything, they may take a little tuning as we go along, but they're working real good. So we've got them to where they're ready to go. And since I'm still rearranging stuff outside, since we brought the planer and the lathe down, I'm having to still rearrange stuff a little bit. So I've got things stacked over around the molding bench that I've got to find a home for those and get them situated. So we'll be seeing some casting stuff coming up here directly again. I've had some questions about the sand fluffer, and I've been gathering parts for it. When I tore apart the old sand muller, I've robbed parts off of that, both to go on the new sand muller and onto this onto the sand fluffer. And here's where we're at so far. I don't know if we're going to see anything or not here, but this is going to hang from wherever we want, and I've got the crossbars hanging, and that's about all the farther we've got. I'll show you an update for that, because I've got, like I say, I've got the plan figured out for that. So we'll be working on that here on the next couple of days. I've had I've been working on patterns for a steady rest for the Sheldon lathe, and this is going to be my rendition of a Sheldon lathe steady rest. And I'd already shown painting up the new steady rest. I haven't got it back reassembled again, but this is an original, and this is going to be my pattern for it. So we'll have that. I've been working on that. This will, before I actually release these to anybody, these will become a cast iron pattern, of course, which is the way they originally were. And we'll produce that pretty much true to the original. There's a couple improvements that can be made to it. But now these will be set up on a match plate ultimately, because you guys know I like my match plates. So I'll set this up on a match plate. The problem I have right now is I want to use these new style flasks like I've been building, and these flasks are too small. I'm going to have to build a couple more larger flasks to be able to do this. I can fit one part in the flask that I've got, which would be okay, but I want to be able to cast one set every time we ram up a mold. So I'll build a couple of bigger flasks, which has always been in the works, but I haven't bothered to take the time to do it because I've got so many little castings that I want to do that are more appropriate for these smaller flasks. So anyway, this is nearing completion. I will probably get these finished out, and we'll loose ram a couple of these, and just in aluminum, like I do. You know, I prototype this stuff in aluminum. So these are getting closer to being done. We'll be finishing those up over the next few days. And we've got some index plates, and I've already loaded them to the website. I had a request for a pair of index plates that normally came with the index centers that were the accessory for the Atlas shaper, for the 7-inch shaper. So I produced, I think there's 3 or 4 sets of those that I produced. Like I say, I've already loaded them to the website. The original requester wanted one, and I gave him a price for them, and that was loaded to the website. Now they're, at the end of the week, those go off of that sale price, and they're going to go to a substantially higher price. Something I've got in stock. I oversized the holes just a little bit because I found some variation. I got to compare it between the index centers that I've got and another index center that I had access to, and I found quite a bit of variation between the two. So I've opened up the hole spacing a little bit and the tolerances just a little bit to accommodate hopefully both ends of the spectrum. I think an individual purchasing those is going to be happier with something that's going to fit rather than something that they're going to have to go back and drill out the holes by hand and monkey around with. So I think I've got a good balance on tolerances on those. I matted these, and the reason was out of the stock that it was built out of, and it's good alloy stock, flat stock. Had a little bit of etching on them, and I saw no reason not to use it for this application, so I went ahead and matted them, where there was nothing wrong with the material other than it did show a little bit of staining on them. So anyway, that's them. I've had a customer that was inquiring about indexing attachments for the Hornady 366 reloading presses. So I've got, I think a couple of complete sets that I was going to get started machining on them today. It'll probably be tomorrow before I get back onto those, but I want to get them machined up and powder coated, and then I think we've got a few more parts to build. I'd originally sent him back to Hornady because they were offering this, but they no longer offer this attachment, so I'm going to go ahead and set up and produce a few sets. I don't know how much I'm going to produce in-house and how much is still available. When I did the last conversion on mine, why I was able to order some of the springs and some of that kind of stuff was still in stock from different suppliers. So I've got to check and see what's still available and what we're going to have to produce in-house to make a complete kit or give the accessories to where the rest of the parts can be sourced. So, been working on those. Been playing with the electrolysis derusting process, and I don't know if I've released anything with that or not. I think I probably have, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go back and look and see what I put out for you guys. I've been using it, and this is the tool holder that was on the planer when we got it, and it had a coating of rust like everything else. Like I say, if you haven't seen those videos, why it shows it still with the rust on them and everything. This has been through that electrolysis rust removal. It does a really good job. And I think I've already shot some footage that I'll develop into a video showing a bunch of drill bits and stuff that actually came with the Sheldon lathe that I hauled home. That normally I take all those rusted components or rusted drill bits and stuff like that, and I throw them in a box. So I've got a couple of boxes of things like that. So I took some of those bigger drill bits with the Morris tapers on them, and I ran them through that process and resharpened them, and it worked really well. So I shot footage of that. But anyway, that's a process that I think is a good viable option for a lot of people. The sand muller project, I've got, I think I'm to the point that I need to cast the housings for the gearbox for that, the 2 halves for the housings. And that's a fairly substantial casting. I'll get to those here real directly. But I've got all the bearings, I think, in stock. I think we've got all the gears that we need and things like that. So I think it's just making a few castings and getting back to machining that. I've already got the drum assembly is already done, and I've got the center section welded in with the axle housings and everything are already set up to go in there. We've got that all taken care of. And I think that's about all that's really going on here. What else do I have happening? The planer of the lathe, we'll be back to casting stuff and working on some of these other projects. This morning I just finished fitting an ejector to a Remington 3200 over an undershot gun, which is a trap gun type of thing. I've got footage of that I'm going to edit and put out. I'm not going to release that on YouTube. I'm not going to put, I don't think, any more of the gun-related content on YouTube. It's a platform that is not firearm friendly, and I think it will probably get shifted off to to probably a Patreon page, and we'll see how that works out. I haven't released that yet. We started on it, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks I'll have more there. The reason being, I've gotten really good responses to the firearms related videos that I've done, and those are mostly related to someone actually interested in the gunsmithing end of it, either as a maybe advanced amateur, beginning professional, or intermediate, maybe an advanced professional, because there's a lot of good information there that will transfer over into the work you do there at the bench, not just related to one particular firearm, even though I do normally aim most of those at one particular firearm. And I think that's where that content needs to go, is to someone that's interested in that more as a profession. I've made it a point to go through, and I try and respond to all the comments. Every once in a while I'll miss one, but the comments that are negative beyond just constructive criticism I take off. I don't need to tolerate crap on there that is no use to anybody. You know, one of them that comes to mind that I just took off here not too long ago, and it was on my installing sling swivels, which I do an awful lot of. And the comment was, well, let me just pull one of those jigs out of my ass. You know, well, my response is, why would you keep it there to start with? But that doesn't help anybody. That's just somebody that's basically trolling and type of thing. So the bottom line is, if you're doing gunsmithing work as a professional, even as an amateur on your own stuff, if you're going to do it and do it right, you're going to have to invest money in tooling. That's just the way it is. So there's no sense in even trying to avoid that. So I have released a couple of gunsmithing tools. One of them is the sling swivel stud installation tool, and it's what I'm calling my pro line of tools, because they've got a little bit of fluff to them. You know, we've done some anodizing on some of those things and stuff like that that aren't absolutely necessary for the tool to function the way it's supposed to. So, and I've got some other tooling like that we've already started building or in the process of developing, and a lot of stuff that we've started putting to paper that I think eventually we will release. And I think maybe that's more appropriate on a Patreon page, where somebody, if they're actually interested in it, that's where they're going to go to find that information. And that'll happen, you know, hopefully, like I say, within the next couple of weeks. I'll kick that out there. If somebody's interested, I appreciate it. If you're not, that's fine too, you know, because that's not where everybody's interests lie. But anyway, we've got quite a few little projects going on, as always. I'm kind of trying to get my focus back again and get in line. It doesn't seem like I can hold focus on one thing very long, but we're trying to get back in line a little bit. And like I say, the last couple of days I've gotten quite a bit done out here in the shop, just because I've got the moving stuff done for right now. You know, there's no, the planer's there and ready to be worked on when we do, but there's no sense in me changing all the gearing, all the gear oil and everything, when I'm still going to be sanding, wire brushing on it, cleaning it up, and painting it a little bit, and getting rid of some of the crap that may make it down under the bed and into the sumps there anyway. So quite a few little things that need to be addressed on it, just because it sat so long and everything. Anyway, those are projects that are going to progress forward. You know, I'm real happy with everything that's happening right now. So anyway, we're getting a little work done again. We're getting some progress made on some of these projects, and I'm trying to focus and finish up some of these projects that are not that have kind of been in limbo. You know, I get something started and then get off on something else, and you know, I think that's ADD or something. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully you've found this a little bit interesting. If you have and haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. And any comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments section for me below. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.